The 131 and 141 sets of Palace of the Dead are notorious for having many wall traps, and this guide will showcase how to dodge them and how to recognize the rooms they are in. Before we begin, I must explain the colors used in these diagrams. This color refers to crystal stalagmites. This darker one refers to crystal flooring. This glow highlights landmarks. Red refers to the traps that are against the wall, either them being on the edges of the room or against a pillar or donut hole. Finally, orange refers to other traps that are not against anything and thus dodgeable from either side. North for these diagrams will always match the in-game minimap's north. This diagram will be in the description, and it will be helpful to have open while watching this guide. To learn these rooms, 3 categories must be kept in mind: pillars, donuts, and north water rooms. Notice how not every single room has red dots like these 2 pillar rooms, for example. They're shown in this video anyways, because knowing them would be helpful in recognizing the other pillar rooms, which has the wall traps. Furthermore, not every trap is shown in this guide, just the ones that are near walls, against walls, or they're traps you might collide with when dodging wall traps. For example, North Pillar has traps in the southwest area, but we won't specify them because we're assuming you're hugging the walls for the most part. Also notice how North Shallows B has no marked traps. That doesn't mean there's no traps in there, there's definitely traps. It's included in this guide because there are 2 water-filled end rooms that have you facing north. Since North Shallows A has a wall trap in it, it would be a good idea to also know what North Shallows B looks like, so there's no confusion. Anyways, let's begin with the pillar rooms. North Pillar is named this because the room's pillar is off-centered towards the north. Things to look for is this off-center pillar, this huge open area at the bottom, and these 2 stalagmites against the west side of the pillar. This is important later, so keep this detail in mind. Be mindful of this crystal flooring when approaching from the north, since it can look like the other pillar rooms. It kinda looks like there's a gate here, which 50% has gates like this, but I'll explain later how to tell them apart. When dodging traps in this room, you can approach the pillar from any 90-degree angle and hug the pillar as tightly as possible, and then exiting at your desired 90-degree angle. Be mindful of the traps to the west and southwest when using this tech. The west traps can be best dodged by approaching these 2 stalagmites I mentioned earlier. The southwest traps are actually being pointed out by this gap in the crystal flooring. When hugging the pillar on the northwest side, please hug as tightly as possible. This trap is extremely close. Move in a way where you're colliding with the wall as you progress. Actually assume every single orange trap is that tight. Another orange trap in this room that's worth mentioning is the southeast one. This crystal can cause you to jut out and run into a trap. Be very mindful of this collision. Next pillar room is 33%. 33%, 50%, and 100% are all named based on the amount of crystal flooring. 33% has crystal flooring in a triad formation. There are no wall traps. You can get this room confused with 50%, but the cool thing about 33% and 50% is that they both do not have wall traps. If you cannot tell them apart, just hug the walls. Next pillar room is 50%, which is named that because the crystal flooring is all on one side. Earlier I mentioned how North Pillar has this gap in its crystal flooring that kinda looks like a gate. 50% has this too, however the way to tell that it's 50% and not North Pillar is that there are 2 groups of these gates. Also, there's a tiny crystal thing in the middle, which is where 2 of the near wall traps are. This orange trap at the southeast is worth mentioning because the crystals against the wall can cause you to jut out and run into the trap, similar to the one in North Pillar. Be very mindful of this collision. Last pillar room is 100%. There's crystal flooring everywhere against this pillar. There's a wall trap in the southeast corner of the room. A pretty decent tell for this wall trap is when there's no east wall here and there's a ramp instead. This is the only time a ramp goes down into a pillar room. If you run down a ramp and it leads into a pillar room, that means there's a wall trap in this left corner. This ramp can be blocked off by a wall sometimes, so please do not be reliant on this tell. You can dodge the southeast trap by approaching the pillar at a 90-degree angle and exiting the same way. For 100%, only do this tech for the southeast corner. For North Pillar, you can do this 90-degree tech anywhere. For 33% and 50%, do not do this 90-degree tech. Alright, now let's talk about the donut rooms. A really interesting characteristic about donut rooms is that you can walk down the center of any of them at a 90-degree angle. This allows us to look down the hole and figure out the identity of the donut room. Fingers is the easiest to identify. It has 4 stalagmites sticking out like fingers that you can see from a distance. Fingers has a nasty double 50-50 in the northwest and southeast corners. This means if you're not moving between south to west and north to east, you either need to sight or safety. Next donut room is Drain. Notice how this room has no crystal flooring unlike the other donut rooms. I'm imagining all the crystal flooring drained away into this hole, hence why it seems messy and clogged. Another tell are these 3 tiny crystal rocks on the ground, which also double as a reminder on how to navigate this room. If you're approaching this room from the south with these 3 crystal rocks at your feet, you have 4 paths to take. If you hug the inner wall while taking path 3, you will be completely safe. 3 crystal rocks on the ground, path 3. Obviously, if you're coming from the north, it'll be path 2 instead, so something to keep in mind. The northwest corner is completely off limits. Next 2 donut rooms we'll talk about together, Cities and Rock. Cities looks like it has 2 cities facing each other, while Rock has a big rock. The reason why we're putting these together is because you deal with them the same exact way. Notice how both of them have an inner wall trap to the northwest. You can enter this room at any 90-degree angle and hug the inner wall. As long as you do this while also hugging the outer wall for the northwest quadrant, you should be fine. I have to re-mention this, but please hug walls and inner walls as closely as possible. Some of these orange traps in the donut rooms are 1 to 2 pixels away from the wall. Now let's talk about the north water rooms. There are many water rooms in the 131 and 141 sets, and all of them except for 1 are end rooms. As mentioned earlier, 2 of these end rooms have you facing north. North Shallows A has rocks in the back, while the B version has this crystal wall thing instead. North Shallows A also has this rock that sticks out a bit, which helps denote a trap that's near the wall. The wall trap in North Shallows A is snug against this indent in the crystals. You can hug the right side of the room to dodge this trap. If you have to go left, you can walk around the wall trap. However, be mindful of the trap that's in the center of the room. A consistent way to line up is to look for these stalagmites here and then walk towards a similar looking group there. Anyways, that's all you need to know for wall traps. I might do a full guide for every single trap for the 131 and 141 sets, but it's been difficult since all the rooms look the same. Maybe one day. Special thanks to Ben Rice and Ellie the Lemon for helping me collect data and also being my guinea pigs for the wall trap learning process. Please go check them out, they stream often. Anyways, I'm out. Bye.